chilling true story, a cast that will keep you hooked, and a mystery that's as haunting as it is gripping. Happy Face is a new must-watch series that dives into the unsettling reality of a serial killer and the daughter determined to uncover the truth. Today, we're joined by the powerhouse team behind the show. Please welcome actors Annaleigh Ashford, Dennis Quaid, James Walk, Tamara Tomakili, and showrunners Jennifer Casisio and Melissa G. Moore to the South by Southwest studio. Did I get that right, everyone?
That was amazing.
Okay.
That was amazing.
That was amazing.
I was going to say, this guy's got a career.
Thank you. No, I'm not an actor, so I'm like
I know,
a
but
line
you've
reading.
got a career.
Yeah.
This is what you do.
Really honestly.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining. This is the biggest group I've had so far, so I'm gonna try my best to make sure everyone's involved, but I'll also ask of you to see if we can divvy up the answers responsibly. I'll try my best.
You're going to do great.
You got this.
I hope so.
We're going to follow you.
This is great. Thank you guys so much. But yeah, I kind of wanted to start. I am a movie lover first and foremost. I started working in TV, and I feel like I'm 26. Starting out, true crime was really getting popular, and I tried like doing a deep dive and going back, and I was like, oh, I guess it's kind of always been popular. And I was kind of curious your guys' first foray into true crime in the media. Like what movies, what TV shows you watched, everything like that, and what like experience you had with the genre.
You know, we were just sort of talking about what our favorite movies were.
Yeah.
And my favorite is Goodfellas, which technically is a true crime.
No, that's a true crime
film.
movie.
You know, one of the greatest movies ever made, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
No one's gonna debate you on
right?
that.
Yeah.
That or it's called American history, but okay. But well, to me, like true crime actually started in local news shows, because I mean, especially females would watch local news because it was about murders, and it was all local murders and robberies and this and that, and it was all local, and their ratings were really skewed very much toward female. And I think somebody got the idea about actually making. You had Dateline and 2020, and I think it basically kind of came out of that.
Also, it's a mystery that we want to solve. You know, so if you think about a lot of our favorite shows throughout the years, sometimes you don't think of them as true crime, but I would argue that Murder, She Wrote is true crime in a way. Absolutely Law and Order, because it's from the headlines. You know, you can even go as far to say that Sherlock Holmes is, you know, a version of true crime in a way.
Yeah.
So I think we've always been fascinated with true crime stories for, you know, the same reasons that Dennis is talking about, but also it's a mystery that we want to solve, and we want to know the psyche, and we want to know the story, and you know, there's always an ending.
Gotcha. Anyone else want to take that one as well?
Honestly, the same, kind of growing up with the news and
Yeah.
kind of seeing, so it's like, yeah, you're just surrounded by it all the time. I personally don't think I really got into true crime until this show, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm a scaredy cat. So anything that had to do with murder or killing, I'm like, oh, no, it's not for me. But this has kind of allowed me to face some kind of fear. So, but it's been great. Yeah. Been great.
It's kind of like facing the boogeyman. Yeah. In a way, it's still the boogeyman's out there, because we think of ourselves too. You know that it would never happen to us, but then when it does happen to people, it's like they always say, you know, I never imagined something like this ever happening to me, but then it does, and that's, you know, life with no guarantees, and like you said, a mystery too.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's kind of where this show lives too, is the psychology and the mystery, and you know, this show really does not glorify the violence, which I think is a really great way in for audiences, because I think the thing that is so intriguing about true crime is the psychology, and that's where we kind of live in our show.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like Mindhunter did a good job of priming that and going away from, I guess, like the more kind of a bit
Gory.
more, gory of the aspects. And with that, I kind of was curious what you guys want people to get out of this show. What separates it from the rest of the true crime that's out there?
Everyone's looking at me.
I think, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of serial killer shows out there. There's a lot of true crime, and I think one of the reasons why I loved this podcast so much and wanted to make it a show is because it's sort of like the same story we've heard told through a different lens, and it's really from the daughter's point of view, and it's a female POV, and really explores the idea of a father and daughter relationship. Except he's a serial killer, and so how can you reckon with the fact that you love a monster, and sort of just all the different ways that this affects not only the daughter but her family, and there's sort of this ripple effect in any crime like this. So it's a lot to explore, and it's something I hadn't really seen on TV before.
Gotcha. How did everyone get involved? What was like the main driving force that put you guys in this story?
I mean, Melissa.
Yeah,
Melissa made a
Melissa, yeah,
podcast,
Yeah.
lived her life.
Yeah. So in 1995, my father was arrested for the murder of Julie Whittingham. And at that time, we didn't know it would be for serial murder. And I was 15, going on 16 years old, and just really changed my family and changed how I saw myself as a person. It changed how I view society, the world, and how they viewed me. And I feel like this show does a really good job of showing what it's like being in the headlines, and you're blindsided. It's the worst day of your life, and then the news crews come, and now I have a lot of empathy for other family members of perpetrators and family members of victims. And I feel like this show does a really good job of showing the relationship between media and true crime media and victims' families and perpetrators' families. Just that we need the media, but we also despise the media. Yeah, it's a toxic need. I don't know what you want to call it. It's it's an interesting relationship.
Like an Ouroboros, the snake
Yeah.
that eats itself. Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was curious. I feel like for a lot of true crime, a lot of times people involved never see it, or the people involved, like the actors, don't even know if the people involved ever do end up watching it. But in your case, you're seeing it and you're around set, everything like that. So I was curious what that experience was like, and also as the actors and the team behind it, what that was like, knowing that there's a bit more of a closer relationship between the story in real life and then like the actual plot in the show.
Well, it's really common for perpetrators' families and victims' families to just all of a sudden turn on the TV and there's a scripted series
They're
about their
there,
life.
yeah.
They're there. I mean, I can name off some very popular programs that just happened where the family and the victims were just blindsided by seeing their lives enacted, and it's not breaking any laws. And so for them, and I understand this, when the crime occurred, they had no control. And now they feel re-perpetrated because they have no control in the storytelling of their own lives. And I feel very respected that Jen and all the team here, all the actors, really took care of me. And that's uncommon. I'm fortunate, very fortunate.
Gotcha.
I feel like we had so much to learn from Melissa. Not only about her story, her experience, but also the way that she used her story and experience to help others, to use her story for advocacy for people in, I guess you'd call it the true crime system, the true crime media cycle. And she was such a blessing to our storytelling because she was so open, and we wanted to respect her and be as respectful as she is to others through the story.
Gotcha. As performers, do you guys approach it differently when it's real life, when it's true crime, or do you have to approach it from like the same lens, and you have to treat it the same kind of way as like a job where I'm playing a character?
I mean, I feel like for me, I come to every role with sort of the same criteria and foundation, which is what do I want? How am I going to get it? What is my conflict? And then, when you're playing somebody real, you have more of a roadmap. and you have some more guardrails than you would when it's just your imagination. But we're so lucky that we had the most incredible scripts. Jen wrote us such a fleshed out story and fleshed out character, so we were able to go to Jen, which you don't always have.
Nice
that.
to have it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's at the
sure,
end of the
and
day.
so-
I mean, you're still dealing with what's on the page, you know, and you better have that to begin with, you know. And we did have great scripts.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
How about you?
Absolutely. I mean, I think just to touch on a few of those points, we
Yeah.
were so lucky to have Jen creating the show, and her writing and her accessibility and her collaboration was incredible. And in the same breath, I just want to say that we're so grateful that Melissa shared her story, and she's so generous in sharing the story. And as an actor, there's a heightened sense, I think, and I can tell for all of us, there's a heightened sense of responsibility in approaching these characters. So it's all, like Annaleigh said, we're approaching it as actors as we do material. And I know for all of us, and Annaleigh really carried the torch with this, there's this, I think, extra responsibility of we really want to do right with it.
Well, I think victims, family members will feel seen in this. I'm really proud of this series because I don't think there's any series that I've seen that shows the personal conflict of deciding for a victim's family whether to use the media, you know, for their benefit and getting the word out about their missing loved one, or the adjectives, the descriptors of that person. Because sometimes when I read the headlines, there's just like, oh, she was a blonde, blue-eyed girl, or she was a brunette, and you don't really get to know, to care about the person if you're just getting physical descriptors. So I feel that this will be a way for them to feel seen in it, and I definitely felt seen in it, so I know other perpetrators' families will feel
Yeah,
seen.
the victims, which is the victim's family and friends and their world, and there's another set, and that's the perpetrator's family, and who have to live with that and try to reconcile that in their mind. Just like Missy grew up with a father that he was by his account at least, and I would imagine by yours as a little kid, but loving father. We all believe in that our parents have to be perfect in a sense, that at 15 to find out the things that she found out, and then to go on with your life.
Yeah.
It's like what
changes.
you said
Yeah.
today. It's like trying to right a wrong in your head. It just doesn't make sense.
I think
Gotcha.
also it shows that when the crime's committed, it's never really over. There's no closure. I think closure is, that doesn't exist. And so for me, the story tells also the story of my children who have a grandfather that is a serial killer. And it's a generational thing now. It's like,
It doesn't end when the credits roll.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a heirloom to homicide. Like that's the stories that we're passing down, and how do we tell those stories to our children? I think every family, what I've learned by coming forward with my story, is that a lot of families have secrets, or they have like something in a generation, maybe not their generation or a generation before, that they're ashamed of, and we don't talk about that family member, or yeah.
Gotcha. Like a mark, something that sticks with everyone.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I kind of wanted to end with, like, you're saying that you want the show to be something where families of victims and families of perpetrators can see this and get something from it. I was curious if there's, besides this project, obviously, if there's any other movies or shows or anything like that you think does a good job of reaching like a specific audience, teaching a lesson with hopefully real world implications.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's good. I will tell
Okay.
you. I will tell you. I
Yes,
feel like
Please share.
I feel like Discovery ID's Evil lives here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every story is told from the principal, like somebody who actually really knew the perpetrator intimately, and then we're left with breadcrumbs to like piece it together.
Mm-hmm.
But you ultimately can't until the crime, you know, they're charged, and you're like, oh, now that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Because I get asked all the time, like, how did you not know? And that's this. I'm sure families watching this that have a killer or a perpetrator in the family will be like, oh yeah, I got that question. It's like it's a common question, and I also feel like the series will show, in some ways, you know, they live a double life and they compartmentalize, and so Dennis Quaid plays a really wonderful father, then also has this other, you know, double life, and you can see him for the loving father that he is, and then the manipulator that he becomes to be known as, you know.
That's one of the things that's really beautiful about Dennis's performance is as an audience member, you like him, and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable that you like him so much.
Everybody wants to be liked.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any other answers? I mean, that's a pretty solid answer.
Yeah, I
if you have-
actually I watched that to prepare.
Oh yeah,
because
my episode of Discovery.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
all of it, your
Uh-huh.
episode and the whole thing, because it's really yes, I felt like it was really connected to our show,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
but it's a different way in to this sort of conversation of the true crime genre.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, you know, in terms of like dramas that
Yeah.
are based on true crime, I think there's a lot that I like, but I don't know if there's a lot that I like where the people that it's based on ended up okay with it. You know what I mean? And I do think like that was always really important to me, to tell Melissa's story and, you know, finding that balance between making a show that's, you know, exciting and suspenseful and entertaining and yet staying true to her emotional journey. But she just gave me her complete trust and complete creative freedom. And so the fact that she's sitting here with us today, I think makes us all really relieved and grateful. And
A testament to the show.
yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for sitting and chatting with me. I hope you have a good rest of your South by. I know today's been a long day.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys get some
It's
rest.
been a long day for you too.
It's okay.
Snap, were you?
I'm fine. I have this.
His clothes are crisp and everything. He's
know.
fresh as a daisy.
Yeah, woke up at 4:30. I was this is my 5th cup of coffee. I'm good. Chilling. I'm just gonna do a quick call out. Happy Face will stream on Paramount Plus beginning March 20th. I'm Reece. Thank you guys for watching.